Hello and welcome back to Rule the Game. In this video, I'll show you how to play Skate Summer by Randy Reiman, published by Pandasaurus, a game for 2 to 5 players, lasts about 45 to 60 minutes, and the age recommendation is 14 plus. The aim of the game is to have your marker, your scoring marker, at the highest number when the game ends. There are different ways to get points. The main way to get points is through your trick combos. You'll play through several rounds where you play different trick combos, and at the end of each trick combo, when you landed your trick, then you'll take your cards that you've played on your board and you multiply the number of cards in one color times the number that is written down next to your skill marker. So for example, red has 2 cards, we multiply times the 3 here is 6 points. Then we have 5 points from the yellow and we have 4 points from the blue. 6 plus 4 plus 5 is a total of 15 points. That's how far you'd move your point marker then. This is where you get most of your points. You'll also get points for having turned around all of these skater markers. If you can flip them all over to the green side and it's all checked, full skater is checked, all 6 of them, then you get 10 extra points. And finally, we count points for whoever has the most of these different icons. So if you have most of the crates, and the single crate of course counts 1, a double crate counts 2, and a 4 times crate counts 4. If you have most crates, you get 8 points. If you have second most crates, you get 4 points. Should 2 players have the same number of crates, they always get the full score. If you don't have any crates, you don't get any points. The same happens then to the cans here, also 8 points for the winner, 4 points for the second place, and over here for these bells. If 2 players have the same final score, then the person who has the most icons wins the game. If there's still a tie, then the person who has improved their skill levels most on all these 3 tracks will win. Otherwise, the win will be shared. There are 2 parts in this game that need to be set up. You have the main board, the skater park, and you have your skateboard. We will start with the skate park. You will see that I have a bunch of boxes that I got here to organize all these different parts. There are lots of parts in this game. Don't worry about these boxes, you don't need them. So I've already started setting up the main board here. As you can see, there are these tokens here, the ones with 4 icons or the ones with 2 icons. I've already placed them here on all these circles that are on this board, where the 4 icons go on the bottom, the 2 icons go on top. You first shuffle all the 4 icons and the 2 icons separately, then you place all the 4 icons, and then you add the 2 icons on top. Next, you'll place this finish marker here on the 70. This marks when the game will be done. Once the first player passes 70, the game will be over. If you want to do a shorter game, you can also place it here on 50. If you want to do a longer game, you can place it on 90. Next, depending on how many players you are, you'll have to cover some of these landing markers. For 5 players, you'll keep them all open. For 4 players, you'll cover here the 5th player thing with an X. For 3 and less players, you'll also cover the number 4 with an X. These cannot be used during the game. You will also add these single tokens here in the corresponding shape on these fields over here so that you can pick them up during the game rather easily. And last, for this board, every player has a round point marker that they will place on the 0 where we start the game. This is it for the skater park. We'll move that to the side And every player gets here a skateboard. You'll see that on one side, you'll get a name for your skater. Here, the color matches with this color. Then you have here an upgrade side. You'll start with the 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of the 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5 is how we start. Then you have here a tile that you put down. You have 4 of these special tiles that go where they seem to fit. So here's a single bonus. And then you have the 2 skulls. The landing marker you put aside. Then you also have this little balance tile that goes here into the middle. You also have these little check marks that have a cross on the back side. You'll put all the crosses here on the skater letters. There you go. Then you have 2 little icons here for special cards. Those go on in the outside triangles there. And last but not least, we'll have here the skill scoring markers. These cubes go into number 1. You also have a skater. The skater goes in the center of the skater park in the field that's marked Big Air. And the last thing we will do is that one player is going to get the pro skater marker. That's the person who will start rolling the dice in the beginning. So we'll give that to this player at first. Also make sure that you have these landing markers here available for every player. And the same, of course, here with these wheels with the fire on them. The 1 time and the 3 times. And we also have cards here. We have the regular tricks and we have the special tricks. You shuffle them. You put them next to the board for both of those decks. You also have a die for Big Air. And you have a bunch of dice here. 1 of the plus or minus and 9 with the lightning on it. They go to the pro skater. To start the game, every player will also get a landing marker and 5 cards from the deck. You can look at your cards. That's it. We're ready to get started. Skate Summer is played in rounds. In each round, you will first skate, do some trick combos, and land them or bail. And then you'll move around in the skater park. We will start first with the skating part that happens on your skateboard, of course. Each player will start the round with 5 cards in their hand. At least from the beginning. Later on, there's an option to actually get to 7 cards, but we're not there yet. To do each trick, you have to make sure that you don't lose your balance. The balance is shown here by this little marker that you have down here that will move around and is not supposed to ever get towards the skulls. If you end up on a skull, you will bail. Now the way it works is now that all players at the same time will put down a trick that they want to play. So for example, we can put on this one. You start with the first trick that goes into the middle of your board. You can now decide if you want to move your balance to the left or to the right. You will move it as much as you have arrows here. If you move to the right, you'll move by 2 slots because you have 2 arrows here. And you also see that there is a little flame symbol, which means you'll pick up 2 of these flames that you put here on the skateboard. Next, when every player has played their first card and moved their balance token, then the pro skater will take the plus minus die as well as a single die. They will roll this. We get a +1. So now we're going to move the balance 1 more towards the plus side. I get lucky here. I didn't bail. Then the players can decide for another move. They can put down another card. Let's say they want to put down here this one. And if you place the card to the left, you now also have to move the balance to the left. If I had placed it to the right, I would have moved the balance to the right, but I can't because I'm already here at the limit. So I'm placing it to the left 3 times. I move the balance marker 1, 2, 3 into the middle. Once every player has done that, the pro skater takes an additional die. We're now at 2 dice because we have 2 cards. They roll again. We get a -2. And we're going to move here 1, 2 to the minus side. It is at this point where the first player could actually bail. That means their balance marker might end up on a skull or past a skull. If a player bails, they will have to remove their last card that they just played, and they have to return half of their fire that they have, rounded down, and they then get to place their landing marker over here on one of the fields that are available. The player then gets automatically the bonus that's shown underneath, so in this case, the player gets 2 fire. If a player hasn't bailed after we roll the dice, the player can now decide if they want to land the trick or if they want to keep playing. If you decide to continue, you put down another card on your right or left, you decide, and you move again, however much you want, and you get, in this case, 2 more flames. Note that some cards also have icons on them. If you move into this direction, you also get 2 of these icons, in this case 2 crates. So we've moved again, and once every player has done this, the pro skater takes an additional die and rolls again. 3 minus, I got lucky. 1, 2, 3, very good. Again, I can decide to land or to keep skating. If I decide to land, what that means is that I now get to increase here my skill level by 1. And as you heard in the beginning for the game objective, the higher this level is, the more points you'll get in a certain color. I have mostly red cards here. I'll increase the red to 1 level above. Then I'll also get to place my landing marker here on one of those fields, get the bonus that is underneath the field, and put it here. If several people bail at the same time, then the order in which you can place down your landing marker is decided by the order in which they come after the pro skater. The same happens if more than one player wants to land. Again, the order in which they will be able to place their landing marker will be depending on who has the pro skater and then following that order. We will continue the skate phase until every single player has either bailed or landed. Until then, the pro skater just keeps adding a die for every single time that a person has added a card, rolls it, and then people either bail or they land or they keep playing. Once everybody has landed or bailed, then we'll continue with improving your skill level. What that means is that you can use now this fire that you have accumulated during the round, and you can use it to increase your skill level here. Increasing the skill level here costs you as much as it says on this side. So if I wanted to increase my yellow skill level, I would have to pay 2 of these fires to increase this one up. If you wanted to increase the red by 1, I would have to pay 3. You can upgrade twice in this action. However, if you want to upgrade the yellow twice from 1 to 2 and then from 2 to 3, you would have to pay 2 to upgrade to 2 and 3 to upgrade to 3, a total of 5. This person only has 4. So let's say we decide here to upgrade the red 1 more to level 3. We'll return the 3 fires back to the stash. Now we count the points. We take all the cards. We'll count how many times we have each color. We then multiply each number here per color with the skill level. So in this case, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 times 1 is 1. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So I'll move here the score tracker to 7. The action of increasing the skills and also counting your points is done simultaneously by all the players. There's one more thing you need to know about the skate action. As you can see, we have here these symbols that mark the special tricks. You'll get a special trick card whenever you place a card during your trick combos right underneath your special tricks. Once you place that card and you've moved your balance marker, in this case twice, you then get a special trick that you can put down here underneath your board. As you can see, we currently have 2 slots for special cards. Should you draw a third card, you currently can't place it here because you still have this blocked, this third slot. So you can replace another special trick, but you can only ever have 2 special tricks as long as you only have 2 slots. A special trick can be played like any other card from your hand during your turn when you actually do tricks. Can be in the beginning, at the end, it doesn't matter. You decide when you want to play it. You will notice that your special tricks have here always 3 arrows in both directions. They're marked with an asterisk too. What that means is that you actually get to decide how many steps you want to move your balance marker here. You can go from 1 through 3. Of course, if you place it on the right-hand side, you'll have to move 1 through 3 with your balance marker to the right. If you place it on the left-hand side, you go to the left. By the way, once you place it here on the last spot, you will not be able to move to the left anymore. All of the special tricks also have here a bonus option. This bonus option can only be taken once you actually play this card. Also note that certain special tricks like this one, they can count for any kind of color. You have to decide before you score which color this is going to be, but you will have to remember what color you chose for the scoring because you're going to use the same color then for the moving action that will come next. It may also be that you run out of cards at some point because you only have 5 hand cards in the beginning. If that's the case, then you also have to land if you haven't bailed yet. We're moving on to the moving action. This is now not played simultaneously like the action before, the skating action, but this one is played in order of the landing markers. So the person who has the landing marker on the 1 will go first, then the 2 and the 3, of course. On each player's turn, that person will now take their cards that they played for the trick that they played before, for the whole trick combo, and they can move according to the cards that they have in their hands. As you can see, each hexagon here has a different shape and color on it. You will be moving with your skater through this little labyrinth here, but you can only move on fields for which you actually have a card. So with this one, if I discard this card, I can now move on to either this yellow or to this yellow. I can't move on to a red or to a blue. And so I'll try to find my way through this whole labyrinth here to different places. I could, for example, say I play here yellow, then a red, and then a yellow. Now, as you can see, I ended up on one field that has these tokens on it. If I want to, and if I still have the money, I can now buy one of these tokens. I would always have to pay as many fires as there are icons on this token. So in this case, I would have to have 2 fires, which I don't actually have because I used too many tokens to upgrade before. Let's say I had the 2 fire tokens. I'll take the 2 fire tokens, discard them, and then I get to keep this icon. First though, you'll turn it around, and on the back side, it has a bonus. Those can be victory points, or in this case, a landing marker. You'll take the icon to you, but before you do that, make sure that you also get the bonus token. If you can continue here, and which I can't really do, well, I could. I'll go up here to red. But remember, this one I scored as a red because I have the highest skill here in red. Scored as a red, I can only move to a red hexagon now, so I could move here, or I can leave it. I don't have to play all of my cards. If I don't play all the cards, they get discarded afterwards anyway. Now, if you end up on more than one hexagon with tokens on them, you can also buy more tokens than just the one. What you cannot do is that you cannot buy first the token with the 2 symbols and then the one with the 4 icons on the same turn. Also, if you were able to get some of these landing markers, then you can actually use them to get on any field you want to. For those, they're like jokers, wildcards. You can go wherever you please. So in this case, I could discard one of them and I can move to here. Now, as you can see, here you have the SKATER, the skater fields, and those are exactly the fields that also pop up here. Now that I've reached the K, I can turn around here, the X on the K, to a check mark. I will then also get bonus here. In this case, what that means, I get actually special abilities. I can remove this card here. So now I have 3 slots for special tricks. And I can remove this one, which increases my hand size to 7. The other fields, the other skater fields, also have these abilities. In A, you get to remove here the single landing bonus. For T, you get 2 fire wheels, and you get to remove here the skull on the plus side. E lets you flip around here the cost of your skill improvements. R lets you move in the special trick icons. So now you already have a special trick when you have played 2 tricks in one or the other direction. And finally, S will give you a landing marker here, one of those, and you can remove the skull on the minus side. As you can see, all of these fields have their advantages, and you have to figure out which one is the best one for you. In all cases, you can then flip around here the X's into check marks. There are 2 more ways to move around the board. One is that if you end up on big air, you can then use the big air die, roll it 4, and move now, in this case 4, steps into any straight direction. In this case, I could decide to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have to pay anything to move that stretch. The die here has a 2 2s, 2 3s, and 2 4s. Note though that you cannot use the big air die the very first time you start the game. You'll first have to return to be able to use it. Second, if you ever end up on one of these fields that you see here, those are the revert ramps. If you end up there, you could pay one of your special tricks that you might have in one of your slots, discard that special trick, and that will move you straight back into big air. In which case, you can then also use the big air die. So this is how you play the skate phase and then the move phase. If at this point no player has passed the finish flag here, we will then continue with another round. If 1 or more players have passed the finish flag, we will then move over into the scoring part, where we now also score if somebody has all the skater symbols. That will give them 10 extra points. And in addition, we now score all these icons here. As I mentioned in the game objective section, that is where you get 8 points if you have most of them, 4 points if you have second most of them. And you do this for all 3 different icons. Whoever has the most points at the end of that will win the game. If nobody has passed the finish flag yet, this is the end of the round. and we now prepare for the next round. What that means is we'll take any remaining cards here from the board. If there are still any left that we haven't used to move, they go in the discard pile. Then we'll put the balance marker back into the middle. And each player gets to decide now if they want to keep the cards that they still have in their hands. If they don't, they can discard them. And then they pick up 5 or 7, if you have this, cards back into their hand. Each player also takes the landing marker and returns it to their board. We then pass on also the pro skater to the next person, and that person also gets all the dice here. And now we're ready for another round. Let me quickly recap and summarize a round. What happens first is that we all take our cards, everybody at the same time puts down cards, moves their balance marker by whichever direction that they've either placed their card, or if it's in the center, then you decide which direction. You then get here bonus, if there were any. In this case, it's one of these. Then the pro skater takes the plus minus die, plus 1 die in this case, because it's only 1 card, rolls it. Everybody moves the marker 1 more. Then first, the people who bailed will then make sure that they place their landing markers here. Then the other players decide if they want to land or keep skating. They keep skating or landing until they can't move anymore, or they've all landed. And then all the players who landed will also get a free upgrade here. They'll also place the landing marker. Then everybody decides if they want to spend money here to upgrade their skills. Then you count the points that you get from your trick combo. Then we move on here to the moving phase, where the player who has the landing marker on the 1 starts first, moves around, gets different icons if they want to do so, gets potentially in the corners to get bonuses. Then the second person, the third person, then we clean up again, and we're ready for another round. Skate Summer feels like there's a lot going on. And there is. Yes, there is. But most of what you do is push your luck with skating and getting skate combos. And so what happens here really is the biggest part of the game. We've played the game several times now. And usually the game is won here and not here. That's not fully true, because the skater locations, they're very good and they're really helpful. So I personally believe that you should ignore all the different small icons here. Just focus on the skater corners so that you get these special abilities for your next trick combo. But the trick combo is where you get all the points. So make sure that you spend your money rather on increasing your skills, because that is a multiplier and increases the trick points by a lot, while all you can win here with these little icons is 8 or 4 points. Now the 8 or 4 points could make the difference in the very end when you have 2 players that are almost even. However, if you spend too much time collecting all these different icons, you won't really win, because you won't be able to really have high points in your trick combos. If you have a different opinion and you feel like the icons is where it's at, then please put down a comment below and let me know. I'm very interested to see if anybody has been able to really win this game just with playing the icons. I think it's all here in the skills. And what has worked out very well for me is this one special trick. The special trick that lets you score 1 color twice. Because if you have this and you have it in one of your later trick combos and you can land that trick combo, then you're gonna get up to 40 points with just 1 trick combo. And remember, you only need to reach 70 points to actually finish the game. So there's definitely a lot to be done with just the trick combos and using your special tricks properly. Which of the different skater locations to use, they're all very good. So I don't really recommend one over the other. I personally like the ones here with removing the skulls to get an extra space where I can actually move my balance. I really like the one also here that gives you the easier way to get special tricks, because you need special tricks to really win the game. So one of these I really like, and what I've started doing is really that I try to go out in a corner, then go back in the center to use big air and use the die here to move closer to one of the corners, instead of trying to find my way through here by getting then all the right icons to be able to make my move to another of these symbols. I've also seen a good strategy that when you bail or when you land, that you place your landing marker here on a manual token, because then you can move around however you want. That's definitely also a very good idea. You don't have to worry if you bail in the first couple trick combos. That can happen. It doesn't matter too much, because you don't really get too many points in the first couple of trick combos anyway, because everybody has a very low skill level. However, what might be an issue for you is that if you bail a trick combo, you end up with less of these fire wheels, the currency in this game, which means you can upgrade your skills less. So that might mean that in the next round, you get less points than somebody who actually landed. However, if you land early, first of all, where's the fun in this? And second of all, you might have a card less than the person who pushed their luck further. That doesn't really help you so much. So go push your luck. It's a push your luck game. Do it and enjoy it. That's the fun. The thrill is in the skating. The thrill is in the trick combos. The thrill is to see what is happening when the pro skater rolls the die, or the rolls the dice rather. Are you going to bail or not? That's the fun of the game. And so that's Skate Summer. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe below, and I'm looking forward to having you back here on the channel.